Have you ever felt unprepared for what life is really like after 80? It's not just about stiff joints or slower mornings. There are deeper, often unexpected changes that many don't talk about until they're already happening. Some of these changes arrive gradually, while others feel sudden and overwhelming. Without warning, they can leave you feeling confused or caught off guard. In this video, we'll explore 5 surprising realities people often face after reaching 80. These aren't just facts about aging. They're shifts that can affect how others see you, how you feel about yourself, and how you experience the world. Some of these truths can be difficult to accept, but understanding them is key. Awareness brings strength and allows you to navigate this stage of life with dignity and resilience. Stick with us until the end, because we're not just here to share the hard parts. We want to help you see how these realities, though challenging, can actually bring greater clarity, confidence, and peace. Let's dive in. Number 1. After turning 80, many people experience the difficult reality that others stop seeking their opinions, even though they've lived through far more than most. One of the toughest changes is the shift from being someone others look to for advice to becoming a person they acknowledge politely but then overlook. You may have lived through wars, raised children, managed businesses, or repaired homes with your own hands. Yet as your hair turns gray and your pace slows, people often assume your wisdom no longer applies. It's rarely intentional or meant to be hurtful. Many simply don't realize they're doing it. You'll notice it in conversations where younger people listen politely but are already thinking ahead to their next point. When you offer advice, it's often dismissed, not rudely, but with a subtle message. That's not how we do things now. This can be particularly painful within families. A son who once sought your guidance before making decisions might now inform you afterward. A daughter-in-law might inquire about your health, but not about your perspectives. You transition from active participant to quiet observer in your own family. What causes this? It's rooted in a cultural misconception that wisdom expires with age, that new ideas automatically trump old, and that being older means being irrelevant. Yet beneath it all, many people still yearn for steady, calm guidance. They've just forgotten how to recognize it. The quiet irony is that the less you insist on sharing your opinions, the more weight they carry when you do speak. Your restraint becomes a form of power, and your years of experience become a quiet authority that doesn't need to be loud. If you've noticed this happening, don't let it embitter you. Instead, let it sharpen your approach. Speak fewer words, but make them count. Your voice still matters. It just holds more power when you choose your moments wisely. Number 2, as you reach your 80s, you'll likely find yourself attending more funerals than birthday parties. This is a reality that few people warn you about in your younger years. When you're in your 20s or 40s, your calendar is usually filled with joyful events, birthdays, weddings, new babies, that give life a certain rhythm and energy. But over time, often without much notice, that rhythm shifts. By the time you turn 80, the occasions you attend more often involve mourning than celebration. You start reaching for darker clothes more frequently than party hats. The gatherings move from happy milestones to farewells, and with each goodbye, a piece of your personal history quietly slips away. What makes this especially difficult isn't just the sorrow itself, though grief is heavy enough. It's the repetitive nature of it. Month after month, someone you once knew, someone who was part of your life story, passes away. Friends you laughed with, neighbors you chatted with on the porch, co-workers who felt like family. One by one, the circle shrinks, and the silence that follows grows longer. Alongside this loss often comes a creeping sense of guilt, sometimes called survivor's guilt, where you wonder why you're still here when so many cherished people are gone. You may feel relief at having escaped certain illnesses or accidents, yet at the same time, feel a deep emptiness for those who didn't survive. Because everyone around you is facing their own grief, conversations about these losses can be rare. People might offer a comforting hug at a funeral, but rarely bring up the deceased again. That silence can make the pain feel even heavier. Constant exposure to loss can weigh heavily on your spirit, sometimes making you hesitant to form new connections for fear of more heartache, or alternatively, causing you to cling more tightly to the loved ones still present. Neither reaction is wrong. It's your heart's way of protecting itself. It's important to remember, though, that every loss is proof that love was present, that connections were meaningful and life was lived fully. As hard as it may be, the people who remain, the ones who still call, visit, and care, become more important than ever. After 80, love doesn't need to be widespread. It just needs to be deep. A few close relationships can provide far more warmth and comfort than a crowded room. So grieve when you need to. Speak their names, share their stories, and let your tears honor your bonds. But also allow yourself to keep living, not just existing, but truly living through the losses. That's the legacy they would want you to carry forward. If you're finding these reflections helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Now let's keep moving forward. Number 3, as you get older, medical visits can start to feel less personal and more like you're just a checklist of symptoms and treatments. It often begins subtly. You sit down in the exam room, the nurse quickly takes your blood pressure and asks a few routine questions about sleep, diet, or medications. Then the doctor enters, glances at your chart, asks how you're doing, but before you can fully explain that new ache or recent drop in energy, they're already moving on to the next issue. This isn't about doctors lacking care. Most genuinely want to help, but the healthcare system often shifts its focus as patients age. You gradually stop being seen as a whole person with a unique story and instead become a collection of symptoms, pills, and medical warnings. Your history, preferences, and personality fade into the background as rigid protocols and forms dominate the conversation. This can be deeply frustrating and even dehumanizing. You know your body better than anyone else. You recognize what's different or wrong, but too often your experience is dismissed with phrases like, "That's just part of getting older," or "At your age, this is normal." Age becomes the diagnosis, and everything else is treated like routine maintenance. This approach can be harmful, not just to your health, but to your dignity. When you feel rushed or ignored, you might stop speaking up, question your own instincts, or think you're overreacting when something truly needs attention. Many seniors hesitate to visit the doctor, not simply because of costs or uncomfortable waiting rooms, but because they feel unseen and unheard, often leaving appointments more confused than when they arrived. When you don't feel listened to, you're less likely to follow treatment plans, ask important questions, or advocate for yourself. But it's vital to remember, you have every right to be heard. You've earned the right to ask questions, challenge quick conclusions, and request more time with your healthcare providers. You can and should say, "Wait, I'm not finished," if someone tries to rush you through. Your care doesn't have to follow a one-size-fits-all model. Some of the best care comes from professionals who treat you as a complete person, someone with history, context, and dignity. Sometimes you have to advocate to find those providers. It's not easy, but it's worth it. You are not just a checklist or a set of symptoms. You are a whole story still unfolding. Don't let anyone reduce you to a mere footnote. Number 4, while your body remains, your reflection may sometimes feel like a stranger. Many people over 80 experience a moment that's hard to describe. You glance at yourself in a mirror or a shop window, and for a brief instant, you wonder who that is looking back. The person has your eyes, your posture, your frame, but somehow feels unfamiliar. Then you realize it's you, but it doesn't always feel that way. This disconnect can be one of the most surprising and emotional aspects of aging. Inside, you still feel sharp and alive. You remember the effortless joy of running upstairs, dancing freely, standing tall without a second thought. But your skin tells a different story. Your muscles, joints, and hair have changed quietly, often without your consent, creating a gap between how you feel inside and what you see on the outside. This feeling isn't about vanity, it's about identity. It's the challenge of reconciling the inner spark that remains unchanged with an outer body that has evolved. You carry memories of being 30, 50, or even 70, how you looked, moved, and felt. But now your physical self is softer, slower, and less familiar. Even your smile, your hands, and the way you sit have transformed, often unexpectedly. Society doesn't make this easier. Ads, media, and even well-meaning compliments can imply that youth is the only beauty worth admiring, as if wrinkles or gray hair diminish your presence. But the truth is, there is nothing more beautiful than someone who has lived fully and wears their story openly. Your wrinkles aren't flaws. They're proof that you've laughed, worried, cried, and kept going. Your slower walk is resilience. It shows you're still here, moving forward. That reflection, no matter how different it seems, is still you, wiser and more complex. The hardest part may be adjusting your expectations. Letting go of your younger self doesn't mean losing who you are. It means honoring every version of yourself and appreciating the person you've become. You're not fading. You're evolving, carrying stories no one else can tell. That reflection is not a stranger. It's someone who has lived through decades with courage and grace. If you're still watching and find these thoughts helpful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward together. Number 5, as you reach your 80s, the world around you seems to speed up, and there's an unspoken expectation that you'll keep pace or risk being left behind. This isn't just about physical changes, but mental, emotional, and cultural ones too. Suddenly, the world you once knew feels transformed into something almost unrecognizable, sometimes overnight. What's hardest is that everyone else seems to expect you to just adjust effortlessly without giving yourself time to catch up. This pressure shows up in everyday situations. You might go to buy groceries and face a self-checkout machine with flashing buttons and no clear instructions. Trying to schedule a doctor's appointment means navigating complicated online portals filled with endless menus and robotic voices. Family invitations arrive through text group chats you weren't even added to. Life has moved fast, and somewhere along the way, it stopped waiting for you. This sensation of being left behind can bring an invisible kind of loneliness, not because people don't care, but because they assume you're keeping up, or worse, they don't realize you're struggling. What used to be a simple phone call now demands remembering passwords, using apps, and scrolling through menus designed by people decades younger. Even conversations can feel unfamiliar, peppered with slang, memes, and cultural references that don't resonate. It's not about being out of touch, but about feeling overwhelmed by relentless change. Change you never asked for and didn't grow up with. You've adapted your entire life through wars, recessions, and cultural shifts. But at some point, when every new update demands learning something new, the energy to keep up starts to fade. Still, the expectation remains. Stay connected, stay current, perform without pause. Express frustration, and you risk being labeled stubborn or resistant. Ask for help, and people grow impatient, saying, "It's easy, just tap here." The world doesn't slow down, it expects you to speed up. Here's the important truth. You don't owe anyone that speed. You don't have to rush just to fit into a mold that wasn't built for you. There's nothing wrong with choosing to slow down, valuing clarity over convenience, and preferring conversation over clicks. The wisdom and presence you bring offer far more value than the latest app ever could. Instead of battling the current, you get to decide where to step in and where to step back. You can ask for help without apology. You can set boundaries around a pace that suits you. And you can remind those around you that experience isn't something to be outpaced. It's something to rely on. The world may not slow down, but that doesn't mean you have to race to keep up. Sometimes the most powerful choice is to move at your own pace and let others remember why that matters. Final thoughts. Now that we've explored these 5 realities, take a moment to pause, not to feel overwhelmed, but to feel understood. These aren't just random facts about aging. They are profound truths many carry quietly, often alone. Recognizing them doesn't make you weak. It shows wisdom. Maybe one of these truths resonates with you more than the others, or perhaps you see all 5 reflected in your life. The goal isn't to feel discouraged, but to know you're not alone and that these changes are real. Facing these realities with honesty is one of the strongest things you can do. You've lived through experiences most can't even imagine. You've adapted, endured, laughed, grieved, and loved through decades of life. Just because the world isn't always designed to honor this journey doesn't mean your worth has diminished. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You carry something invaluable that the world needs now more than ever: clarity, calm, perspective, and resilience. Hold these insights close. Let them remind you it's okay to speak up when you feel overlooked, to grieve when you need to feel frustrated, and most importantly, to move at your own pace. Honor your unique experience and choose what feels right for you. Your journey matters, and embracing it with courage is a powerful act of strength. Thank you for watching. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below sharing one insight you gained today and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your feedback means a lot to us and motivates us to keep creating valuable content. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it. Your support allows us to continue producing inspiring and informative videos. Thanks again for being here, and we can't wait to see you in the next one.